to the channel. This is my BMW E36 3 series that I'm busy rebuilding, and we have started off by replacing the brakes, painting the calipers red, also replaced the release bearing, replaced the gearbox oil with fresh brand new oil. That's not the only thing that we did. On the previous video, we cleaned the engine bay, placed the spark plugs with brand new spark plugs, placed the oil filter, air filter, also drained the engine oil and replaced it with brand new oil, which was not enough. That means I'm going to top it up before we start with today's video. Now that the oil is topped up and at the right level, now we can start with today's video. On the previous video, I said we have a problem with the headlights, and that side is the one that is working and the other side does not work at all. And if we jump to the rear, we only have the indicators light working, the reverse light does not work, the brakes does not work, the lights, they don't work at all except for the indicators. Let me show you. Let me start the car and let me show you what I'm talking about. Now I'm switching the lights on. So the lights are on now. And at the rear, I know it's daytime, but the light should be showing a little bit. As you can see, there's nothing on the side and there's nothing on the side. And at the front, you will see that we only have one side that is actually working. This side is actually working and the other side is nothing. So at night, I'm a ghost when I'm driving this car, because at the front, it looks like I'm driving a scooter. Then when you get close, you see that I'm driving an E36 3 series Bmw. And at the back, I'm a ghost. You see nothing. You don't see me unless you're getting close to me, which is very dangerous when I'm driving it at night. Before I jump straight into fixing the rear tail lights, I'm going to start by removing some couple of things in the boot. Well, this is the first time the boot has ever been like this. The first thing that I'm going to do is remove the rear tail light, just to check if the bulbs are connected or if they are not missing. We have 4 bolts and 1 connecting plug. Then the tail light will easily come out. Before we put the tail light back, we're going to clean this. Now I want to show you something which shows why the lights were not working. Look at the bulbs in there. It looks like all the bulbs has fallen into the light holder. I guess that's the reason why the light was not working at all. Now it's just a matter of connecting all those bolts to the rightful place. Well, it looks like we do have bulbs. Well, at this point I thought we wouldn't have a wiring issue, but I guess the bulbs were in there for some reason. Now I'm just gonna remove them and investigate what could be the issue. These are the things that we're going to investigate on. The first one is the plugs, second one is the fuses, the third one is the wires. Usually these are the 3 suspects to give in. I'm going to start the primary investigation on the plug itself. I want to check if it has ground or receiving power signals. Do have ground on different section, but we are not receiving signal power, which makes it impossible for the light to actually work because there's no signal at all. Now I want to see if the switch is giving signal to the plug, because if we are receiving signal, it means we have a lead. Ones are still on. This one was not on at all. This one was. This one as well. So I think we found the issue. So this one over here, I think is the one, because like, check this out. It is. So I'm going to put the lights on. Here we go. The lights are on and it is on. I'm gonna put the lights off. The lights are off and it is off. Let me try to explain what I'm actually doing. Every light from factory has a wire connector that is connected to ground, and there's a 12-volt power wire that is connected to a relay, that is connected to a fuse, that is connected to the switch, which is connected back to the relay, and the relay is connected to the lights. But the relay is being controlled by the switch to tell the light to turn on or off. What I'm actually doing is using a test light to check if we have ground on the plug or power on the plug. So far we have ground and signal. The only thing that is left is to find power. Well, I consider that as one problem close to being solved. Now that we have found the ground wire and we know that we are receiving signal from the light switch, now it's time to check if we are receiving 12-volt power from the plug or the switch, and it seems like we are not receiving any 12-volt power at all. Before I go and disassemble everything, I need to check if the fuses are okay. So now I just want to check which wire is for the rear taillights. Well, I've been checking all the fuses and it seems all the fuses are actually, well, the fuses for the lights, all of the fuses for the lights are actually 100%. What I'm actually thinking is that maybe there is a loose connection somewhere and I need to find it. Now I'm going to be checking all the wires that I think they should be receiving power. So I'm going to be removing this trim piece, which will expose all the hidden wires. I finally found one problem. I was able to find the power wire which was connected at the wrong place, but now the light is working. So now I'm going to turn off on the light. And I made the rear light to work without actually starting the car, but switching the car on. So we have the indicators, we have the tail light, but we don't have the brake light and the reverse light. So we're going to try to do the brake light and the reverse light before we go to this side, so we know that this side is actually working 100%. Then we'll transfer everything to that side. So the first thing that I want to check is the brake switch, if it is connected or not. Usually brake switches are located close to the pedals.
So here's the brake light switch.
The brake switch is connected, but we are not sure if the brake switch works or not. What I'm going to do is remove it, then test if it actually works. Here's my simple way of testing the brake switch. We're going to have a ground wire that is going to go to the bulb, and we're going to have a 12-volt power going to the switch, from the switch to the bulb. When we press the switch, the light should turn off.
Well, the brake switch works.
Now it's just a matter of finding the 12-volt power wire. While I was searching for the power wire, I've decided that I'm just going to do the whole wiring, which means I'm going to strip the whole interior apart. And if you're at this part of the video, make sure to hit the like button, make sure to hit the subscribe button. First thing that I'm going to remove in the interior is the seat, which is being held by 4 70mm bolts. Then the safety belt, which is also held by 70mm bolt. After that, the seat will come out.
Up at night, yeah. Make all the demons quiet, yeah. We were built.
Well, I guess I found some treasures because I'm about to be rich. Like, look at the amount of money that is in here.
So first thing first, let me clean out the car and then let's continue with the wiring. Now I'm just going to clean the carpet with the hoover before I remove it. But before that, I must remove the center console. To remove the center console, we have 2 bolts that we have to remove in the S-tray, which will reveal more bolts.
Just look at, now it's 4 rand. I just found 1 rand over there. Where is it? Where's that 1 rand? Here is the 1 rand. 5 rand. And those other coins, I think we're still going to find more treasures in this car.
After removing every visible bolt, it's just a matter of disconnecting all the connectors from the console. At this point, I'm just going to remove everything that is going to get in my way, removing the carpet. I'm going to disconnect the hazard switch, the window regulator switches, which are not working, and I think we're going to try to fix that. Now I'm going to remove the glove box and the lower part of the daisy.
Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like.
Now I'm going to remove the floor mat. Then we're going to continue with the brake light.
To my toes, you said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things.
The seats and the floor mat were extremely heavy. Now that I got the floor mat out, the wires are exposed, and I was able to find the wire that was supposed to go to the rear tail light for the brakes. It was connected to another wire for some reason, but now I've connected it, and we're going to test if it will actually make a difference. But the issue that we're having now is that we have a lack of light bulbs.
Since we're missing some globes, these ones are burned. I went and bought 4 more of them. These are brand new ones. They only cost me 38 rand 96 cent at Midas.
Now I'm going to fit the bulbs on both sides of the light. Then we're going to test if the brake works. Then I'm going to remove the tail light, not because of the bulb, but because I want to clean it. After all of that, I'm going to reinstall the lights and we're going to test if everything works. I think we have a bad connection on the other brake light because one is working, which will be fixed. But because we are done with, well, not really done with the light, because we still have the reverse light to do one day, not now, because it requires the gearbox to come out. But for now, what I want to focus on is the cluster.
One bolt over here and another bolt over here that must be removed.
The reason that I want to remove the cluster is because there's only one light that is working on the cluster, and it's the battery light. The indicators, the speedometer, the rev count, the temperature gauge, and the petrol gauge are not working at all. I just hope I can fix it.
We got the cluster out, and from the back we have a few lights that are missing, but these lights are not really actually important. I don't know if you can see them. Do know that the wiring might have an issue, but before I do that, before I check the wiring, all of the wiring, I want to check if there's anything that is burned inside the cluster or not. If there's something burned on the inside, I know the cluster has an issue and we need to deal with it.
I'm just gonna open the cluster and check if there's anything burned. and I'm just hoping that I'll be able to fix the cluster if it is broken. Opening the cluster is really simple because there are 2 tabs that you need to remove, and that's the whole cluster disassembled. BMW made it easy for the mechanics on this one. I don't see anything wrong. The cluster seems to be in a good condition and I don't see anything wrong. But now I want to test if the petrol gauge is actually working. I want to test if this gauge actually works or this gauge is just here for decoration. We're going to check if the fuel gauge is working, because when it is at 0, it means it is actually not receiving ground or it is receiving too much power. So at the back we have the ground and we have the 2 receiving powers. Now let me explain how I'm going to test it. We're going to have a ground wire going to the middle of the gauge, and we're going to have the power wire going to this one or this one, whichever one that makes the arrow move. The aim is to see if the motor is receiving signal. If not, it means the motor is gone. There we go. It has moved to full. If I leave it, goes back. Just a quick reminder that I'm not an electrician, and everything that I'm doing here I'm learning as I go along, so please do not try this at home because you can ruin your cluster. Well, I did not find anything wrong with the cluster, but there was one bulb that was burned, so I replaced that one. Well, I didn't really replace it, I just took another one and put it on the other one, and then because I saw there's no problem with the cluster, then I put it back. Maybe it's the connection, the problem might be the connection or the wiring, like I've said. And now the cluster is kind of working, but not everything works, but the indicators now are showing on the cluster. So here it is not showing anything, but let me do the indicators. There you go. Before it was not showing the indicators, but now there's the indicators on the other side, and the other side is also working, but we still don't have the fuel gauge, the speedometer, and the rev gauge, and the temperature gauge. They are still not working. So with the fuel gauge, I'm thinking of taking the seat out and then check if all the connection on the fuel gauge and the fuel tank is actually connected. Usually the petrol gauge assembly is located under the bench seat. I was guessing that it would be the same with the BMW, and here it is. It looks like all the connectors are connected. Maybe the problem is with the petrol assembly. To remove the assembly is just 2 hose pipe and a connector. Then it's just a matter of using a flathead screwdriver to remove the plastic locker. And I think the petrol assembly will come out. Here's the petrol assembly out, and it looks to be in a good condition, but we're still going to test it and see if it will actually work, so that we'll be able to define what could be the issue with the whole petrol gauge. Well, it did not work. With the fuel gauge, I feel kind of defeated, so I wanted to cheer myself up, and I put the camera down, and I did you saw I did the indicators, and the indicators were working, because the only problem that we had was the connectors were not connected properly, and we had a bulb that was burned, and I replaced that bulb with another bulb, and the indicators worked perfectly. But there was one problem that I was having. This indicator switch over here was not actually working properly the way it was supposed to. If I indicate to the right, if I turn the steering wheel, and when I turn the steering wheel back, it will not come back. I will have to return it back by hand. But now I fixed it, and there was a spring inside this connector right here that was loose, which I just put back in the right place. And now if I indicate to the right and I come back, it's supposed to come back as well. If it doesn't, that means I did not fix it. It's supposed to come back. I think it's still not coming back even now. What? Let me do it again. Let me do it on the left side this time, and then come back. Yeah, well, it does come back, but you saw, I think it's still going to do the same thing again, because it takes time to come back. I don't know why. Well, there we go. So that's what I did. Now I feel a little bit of confidence coming in. So I know the petrol gauge has defeated me for now, because I think I need to purchase a new one, or maybe I'm not doing it correctly. But I'm gonna put that aside, and we're going to focus on the windows, because the windows are not actually working. But I know the window regulators are working, because I once tried to open that side and the window did open,
but the window didn't want to come back. It just stayed the same way as it is right now. So I'm going to try to fix the windows. Hopefully this time I'll get it perfect and I'll get it right. Let's do it.
Now I'm going to remove the door panels or the door cards, and then we're going to test if the window regulators are still working. But I'm 100% sure about one window regulator that is still working, but let's check everything else.
Well, on the side the motor is not connected at all.
On the driver's side, the window regulator was not connected, so I'm going to connect it and we're going to test if the window will work. Hopefully connecting it will solve the issue.
So we got the plug plugged in. Now we're switching the car on, and this is the button that's supposed to make the window regulator work. So let's try it.
It seems that was not the issue, so let's test the regulators. While the driver's side seems to be working, that's some good news. Now I'm going to check the rest of the window regulators. Now all the window regulators are working. I've checked the wires. All of the wires, they are leading to this box right here. Took the box out and I opened it, and it looks like it had water damage. So I took it to somebody who knows how to fix these things, and he said this box is 100% and it is okay, which meant that we have some wires over there that have an issue. And to be honest, I don't want to go too deep when it comes to the wiring of the BMW, because if you do know that BMW in terms of electrical stuff, if you do too much, you might burn the computer box. Which left me with three options. The first option was to remove the dashboard and try to follow the wires where they go and fix the problem, which will be tedious and will take long. The second option was to buy 5-pin relays and then put 2 relays, one for the window to go up and the other one for the window to go down on one window, which will mean that I will have to buy 8 relays. And the third and last option was to buy a 6-pin switch, which are those kind of a race mode type of switches, which is something that I don't want. So I decided to go with the relays, because with the relays you have the option to use OEM switches, which will be a plus for me because that is what I'm looking for. Let me explain what I'm going to be doing. We're going to be having 2 wires from the window regulators that will allow the window to go up or either go down. One wire will go to the first relay and the other wire will go to the second relay, and there's going to be 2 wires coming from the relay going to the fuse, and the fuse going to the power wire on the battery. And there's going to be 1 wire from each relay going to the switch, and there's another wire from the switch going to ground. I haven't fully explained everything, but I'm going to put a diagram at the end of the video. Now that we have a basic understanding of how the relays are going to be used, let's try to route the wires as OEM as possible. All of the relays and fuses will be located behind the glove box, and everything else will be located at the same position as it was located from factory. The only difference here is that I'm replacing the control box with relays, which means I'm not making a huge impact, but I'm making as a little impact as possible just to make the windows work. So this is the fuse for the 2 front windows, for this one and the other one in the driver's side. That is the fuse for both of them. They work 100%. They're going to work with this. When I press this, you can see right now, if I press it, there's the window. I press it up. We finally got the 2 windows working with the OEM buttons, but I've ran into some issues with the rear windows because they don't want to work with the same method that I used with the front windows. If you do remember that the wires were leading to this box, and this box is controlling the 2 front windows, and there's another box that is controlling the 2 rear windows, which is this small box, and this small box is the one that was controlling the rear windows. And I think that's the issue. I think there's a way of
controlling them with this box, and this box also has no problem. It is 100%. I think there's a wire that is cut or disconnected or connected at the wrong place, which I'm not going to deal with. As I've said, I'm going to try to find a method that I'm going to use to open the rear windows. Well, even though we had ups and downs with the video of today because we failed to fix the petrol gauge and we were not able to make the cluster work 100%, it is only working 50%, and I tried my best to the best of my ability to make it work 100%. With failures came with successes, because we were able to make the two windows work with the OEM button, and we were able to make the tail light to work, the brake light to work, and I was able to make the switch to work with the indicators, and the cluster indicator was able to work as well. And I do know that this box has a lot of functions than just doing the windows. I know it has more functions than that, so I'm just gonna put it back where it belongs. Only the two wires that are connected to it, which are for the front windows, I'm going to remove them from this box. I'm going to eliminate them so that this box will not give it power if power was coming from this box. But what I can say is that on the next video, we're going to see why the two rear windows are not working and why is the front window doesn't want to go up. I haven't said it, but the window, it doesn't want to go up because the window regulator machine, I think it is broken. But we're going to fix that on the next video, so stay tuned for the next video. If you haven't liked the video, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and support the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace. And if you want to follow me on other platforms such as Instagram and TikTok, I'll leave the link in the description, and inbox me on Instagram and let's talk on Instagram, and I'll see you guys on Instagram or on TikTok or on the next video.